It's a beautiful Monday, so let's jump into some news here today. We covered it on the live stream just 2 days ago, but I want to kind of flesh it out a little more here today because it was very fresh news when we covered it on the Saturday night Transformer Slag podcast live stream. If you didn't check that out, come hang out. It's really fun. Take some super chats and have a good time. But let's talk about this news that we got. JT Prime 17 was going through all the different listings and coding from the various retailers, be it Walmart, Target, Amazon, and then some. And one listing came up, and it was a Target listing for a Gen Studio Series Voyager Class 86 Ironhide, or to translate it, a Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager Class G1 Ironhide. And this was very exciting for a lot of people because this is a listing that, while found in Target, could potentially show up in other locations, and it confirms with the A or EAN code that this is legit. Now, we have not heard of a Voyager Class 86 Ironhide coming. We had a whole bunch of stuff from like a Studio Series 86 Core Class Ratchet we heard about. We heard about like Kickback and a whole bunch of other stuff, and Blaster, which ended up being legacy stuff. You know, we know that like Laserbeak from Dark of the Moon is going to get a toy. We know about Wheelie getting a toy from the movies and all this stuff. And of course, the slew of Rise of the Beast stuff that's going to be coming. But we pretty much didn't get a very good idea, more or less, of what past Wave 15 and onward of the Voyager scale is going to be for Studio Series. And now this shows up. And this is very good for a lot of different reasons. And the primary one, more than anything else, is, and I've talked about this many times before on the podcast, about that pursuit of the perfect figure and how that constantly affects the market with Transformer toys, and how it makes it go up and down, and how you can never be comfortable with what you have as it being the best figure and putting a lot of money into it, because something could come around and completely change that. And what I'm talking about is, in the case of Ironhide, you know, we all know the story with that Transformers Earthrise Amazon Prowl Ironhide 2-pack, and how that came out, it sold out instantly, and then was getting scalped on the secondary market for crazy numbers. Currently, as of this recording, a loose complete deluxe class Ironhide from the Earthrise version goes between $70 and $100 loose. The boxed 2-pack would prowl between $200 and $250. To give you a perspective, you could pick up Masterpiece Ironhide for $100 to $120, which is insane when you think, me personally, given the choice between the two, if I had to spend the money, I'd get the Masterpiece. But that's just me. But this is insane. This is insane. Like, the numbers are crazy. I have one, so I'm not too worried about it. But when I see what the numbers are right now, I would never expect anyone to pay that. Not to mention how many people have been even complaining about that version and having to then buy upgrade kits to make it better. Forget that. Forget all of that, guys. Don't buy this. Do not buy this Earthrise version. When stuff like this happens to certain toys, I always say take a breather, wait. 4 years come around, another trademark has to be renewed, and Hasbro revisits the pond and gives you something better. And lo and behold, here it is here. Voyager Class 86 Studio Series Ironhide. You know how this is going to go down. Studio Series 86 makes a stronger emphasis on show accuracy, and they're going to, because it's a Voyager, because the budget is slightly higher than that of a deluxe. Now, keep in mind, I don't want to rag on the Earthrise Ironhide, because what it really was is you had that Siege Ironhide, and this is just an extensive retool of that kind of stuff, a partial, if you will. And it has the limitations of being a deluxe class. It has the limitations of being a retool from something else. So I get that. I get how there is some ways that it also is being held back. But as a Voyager class, and the way that I almost envision how they could go about this, because I could see it going kind of the same route of, let's say, a Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, where what you could do instead is you could Not make him like crazy Voyager class size so he towers over everybody in his deluxe class brethren, because depending on, and I don't want to get into the semantics of it, but depending on what scene we're talking about with the original cartoon, sometimes Ironhide's the same height as everybody, sometimes Ironhide towers over everybody. It really depends on what scene you're looking at and what screenshot. But that's here nor there. But I can see them kind of meeting it halfway. Not make him deluxe class, but not make him crazy Voyager. Just make him slightly taller than his deluxe class brethren. And then using the rest of that budget, instead of making a larger toy that's more like a standard Voyager, give him the right engineering and pieces and parts and budget and transformation and tooling and paint to make the perfect figure. Do they want to go about it where it has his repair bay / armament bay and it separates from the figure? Do they want to do something that's like a rocket sled or something? Or do they want to do something where they could somehow tool it all in that he could transform and still be able to have all of that on his body as one piece? We'll see how the engineering goes there. There's a lot of talented people at Takara Tomy and that of Hasbro. They've had so many different opportunities to kind of get an idea of how to go about this. From the Masterpiece, from the Earthrise, from even stuff when we look at the past where it be other kind of van transformers or even that of Tow Line. So I'm pretty sure they're going to take everything they've learned in the past and try to make that perfect Voyager 8 Studio Series 86 Generation 1 Ironhide. And I'm telling you guys, mark my words, Transformer Finance advice right here. When this thing comes out, bye-bye to that Earthrise version. Say goodbye to those prices and those scalpers and those guys that have been sitting on them. So if you're a scalper, you better move it now, because when this thing comes out, and who knows when it will come out, because like I said, we don't have a clear indication of what's happening with Wave 15 onward for the Voyager scale of Studio Series, but we have a pretty good idea of, Rise of the Beast stuff and this and that. So, but when this thing does come out, say goodbye to that. Say goodbye to that. It's going to go the way of, Ironhide from Classics or Universe 2.0 or Generations, like who wants that mold? It's the constant evolution that I keep talking about, where a version of the character becomes the standard best version of that character and people pour all their money into it until the next one comes. And Hasbro has been notorious, and Takara has been notorious for doing that kind of thing, where a better version does come around every 4 to 5 years that makes the previous one pointless, but they keep making those sales because people want to get that best version of the character. And I feel that we're slowly reaching a peak now. I mean, I look at my Studio Series 86 Hot Rod and I go, wow, where do we go from here? There is very little that could be done at this point for that design of that character. Yeah, there's little tweaks, little small like paint applications and plastic choices, but at the end of the day, there's nowhere we could really go from here, considering that 86 Hot Rod is even better than Masterpiece releases. If anything, the next step is going to be going back to revisit the Masterpieces, taking what's done with the 86 Hot Rod and reapplying it there, much like what they did with Starscream. Starscream, how he was as a Masterpiece, and then later on how he was as a Classics figure, and then a Voyager scale, and then revisiting that character with MP11, and then of course the MP 3.0 of Starscream that we have today. There's a learning curve that goes back and forth of Masterpiece to retail to back to Masterpiece again. So I get a feeling that in the case of this Ironhide, we're probably going to get something that's the peak of Ironhide for retail, I hope. And then maybe a couple years from now, could be 10 years, they'll revisit Ironhide and Masterpiece and take what they learned from that one to make the perfect Ironhide. Unless they're I think they're pretty satisfied with the one that they have currently in retail. And I granted, some people don't like the stuff that's hanging off the hips of the Masterpiece one. I think I like the Masterpiece Ironhide. There's a lot going on there that's pretty fun. But it's crazy. It's crazy seeing these prices, and I'm just telling people right now, just wait it out. Just wait it out. Don't mess with it. Don't spend that kind of money. And I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to be pretty fantastic, and it'll be hella cheaper than going out of your way and getting that Earthrise one in the secondary market right now. That's pretty crazy. Let me know what you think about this. Hopefully we'll get some more information. There's no word yet if we're going to get a Ratchet from this repaint, or maybe one of Generation Selects is going to be a black repaint of this Ironhide. Maybe that's what the Guard listing is. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. Let me know what you think. This is pretty hype stuff otherwise, and very good news for the wallets for Transformer fans who don't have an Ironhide.